Hello and happy Halloween. Today on Talking Trash, we're talking about a movie.
You have to cut that out.
Oh, jeez.
You all painted up for a crackhead, huh? Halloween ain't till mañana.
Just another Halloween.
Hello and happy Halloween, all listeners. We are just another movie night, and today we are talking trash. I'm Scott.
And I'm Joe.
Yes, you are. And we are talking about the 1980 classic that no one has ever seen, for good reason, called The Godsend.
The Godsend.
Dun, dun, dun.
That's all you get from me. Nah.
We found this one in a box set, and let me tell you something. It is a real treat of shit. We were not only shocked, but also completely floored by the logic, or lack thereof.
Yeah, I was going to say, what are you talking about, pal?
This one is a real shit show. I don't know if this was originally a TV movie. It feels like something that was made for a Lifetime channel.
It does. I think it was definitely made for TV.
Yeah.
I mean, like I wouldn't say Lifetime because Lifetime is like family.
It's wild.
I don't know. I wouldn't say Lifetime. I would say, I don't know. It's definitely not an after school special, but it was definitely made for TV.
Okay.
But that's what I think.
I don't know if it was.
Maybe it wasn't, but I don't know. In 1980,
The complete summary of this movie is simple. Family finds child, or gets stuck with child, adopts child. Child is evil. Movie. But
Yeah.
what this really is the most British thing that you can imagine. And it's really about a terrible couple who are the worst parents you've ever seen in your life, that have a ton of kids, get stuck with a new kid, and shit goes wrong real quick. So let's start off with how this movie begins. Because right off the bat, we were in shock. Right?
I mean, okay. It started off like any normal movie, I guess. The family.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, families take strolls through the woods, and
They're jumping a fence.
so
They have three kids who are able to walk themselves. They have two redheads that seem almost twin-like. Mm-hmm. They have a daughter. They all seem around the same age. And then they also have a baby. So we see this whole family hiking through the wilderness. Not the wilderness, but basically like a farmland.
just taking a stroll in their backyard. Basically, it's their
But
backyard.
We don't know that right off the bat.
No.
We just see them. It's playing this really cheesy music, and we see them jumping a fence, and they're putting the kids over the fence, and suddenly then we're just following the father and one of the other kids, or two of the other kids, and then all of a sudden he just says, "Hey, where's mom?" And the kids say, "I don't know." I was like, how did you lose them in an open field?
It's pretty much an open field with like one tree.
So he turns around and gets his binoculars out. He sees some people in the distance. So he puts his binoculars up and he stares out and he sees the creepiest woman ever, who automatically screams cult.
Oh well, of course. I mean, she's she's wearing a white,
Yeah.
like a cultist outfit. I mean, she just is wearing a plain, just out and out cultist outfit. It's just a plain white dress. She has blonde hair, these big, humongous blue eyes.
She doesn't blink.
But she doesn't blink. She's like just creep factor 11.
She knows that binoculars are on her because she stares right into them.
Yeah, she knows that he's looking from a distance at her face with binoculars, and she's
Yes.
just giving him this creepy look, and he's just like wondering, who the hell is this woman?
And and his wife, with the baby strapped to her chest, is standing right next to her having a chat, while the woman is completely not paying attention to her, staring into the binoculars.
Yep. It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
And
So-
that's how this movie begins. Cut to, they have brought the woman back to their house. Apparently, they live in the middle of this farmland with their huge family, and they've invited the woman in. The husband's like, why is she here? And the wife is like, why not?
Hello.
Who is she?
She just turned up. You saw me talking to her on the walk. I couldn't just say bugger off.
How did she find us? What does she want?
Well, we're not exactly unknown in the village, are we? Just asked around, I suppose. She won't stay long.
Right. I mean, there's really no reason why they brought her back to the house at all. Like, she just comes back to the house. She's sitting there, and she brings her some tea, and they're like literally not talking about anything. It's so bizarre because the woman does not talk.
She doesn't talk to the wife.
The wife, yeah, she's the creepy woman is not talking to the wife at all. And I'm like, what is the reasoning of bringing this woman back here? Like, and
Yeah,
this-
she seems obsessed with the husband.
yeah, and then so we learn after we pan down a little bit that she is pregnant. This creepy woman.
I don't even remember them panning down. I just remember them saying,
Yeah, when she
Oh, she's
handed
pregnant.
her the tea, you could see the belly. She's
Yeah.
holding the belly. So I was like, oh shit. Okay, so she's like she's carrying a demon spawn is what's going on here.
she says that she is staying with friends that live a little further down the road, and she was just on for a stroll, and she saw them, and she wanted to talk to them.
yeah, that's
She's obsessed with putting a shawl over herself, and she just won't stop staring at the husband. The husband is like, I'm not having this. This is weird. And let's point out the fact that this husband has white eyebrows. So they're like non-existent. So he is very creepy looking.
yeah, he looks creepy. I mean, he's definitely, I don't know. He just, I don't mean to be mean, but the white eyebrows with the sandy blonde hair, it was just creepy. I mean, the wife was pretty.
Yeah,
But
sure.
you know, but anyway, so this creepy woman's just sitting on their couch.
Yeah,
so-
she's staring. She doesn't want to have tea. She's saying creepy thing.
Do you live around here?
No, I'm with friends.
Oh.
Down from London.
Oh, no, I'm not city.
Ah, well. Is this your first you're expecting?
Oh, no, I have others.
Not many people seem to want several.
It's not always a question of wanting.
Saying very creepy things.
And of course it starts raining, so she's stuck there. He says, the husband is like, okay, I'm going to drive you home. She's like, no, I can walk. And he's like, no, I'm going to get you out of here. I'm going to bring you home. Right? And as soon as they get out the door, she seems to go in labor.
Right.
And so the wife's like, you got to come back in the house and go upstairs.
We forgot one major plot point. While the wife left the room to go, first of all, the husband left the room when they
Oh,
were
yeah.
sitting there
And
having
he
their
left the
tea.
wife with him.
And he left the wife alone, sitting there with this crazy weird woman.
Yeah.
And so the wife's like, okay, where's my husband? So she goes to look for him, and he's sitting in the kitchen just having tea and crumpets, and
He's making a
you know,
snack.
just making a snack and not even caring that there's some strange woman in his house. So by the time, you know, the wife goes in the kitchen looking for the husband. During that time, the creepy woman gets up and pulls the phone cord out of the wall. So when they're leaving, he said, I'm going to drive you home. She goes into labor. I guess she just, it was all
It
planned
seems,
out.
yeah.
So she
The
goes
wife
into,
brings her in the house.
yeah, so they
and
bring her
sends
into the house.
The husband to go get the doctor because the phone doesn't work. So he runs and gets the doctor.
Yep.
And we see him coming back with the doctor, and the doctor's like, natural birth, this is going to be crazy. And at the same time, the woman gives full birth, and the wife has delivered the baby perfectly.
Yeah, this wife is like a boss. Like, she completely, perfectly delivers the baby. Baby's fine. And so, yeah, then...
The doctor and the husband come in the doorway. The first thing the girl says, the woman who just given birth, she says, can I have a cigarette?
Yeah.
And they're like, the doctor's like, hell no, you just gave birth. You shouldn't do anything.
Right.
So,
Yes, the best is like, so they let her stay there. Okay, they don't know this woman from anything.
Yep.
Okay, nothing whatsoever. She had just given birth all over their guest bedroom.
yep.
And so they let her stay overnight. Now, mind you, they do not drive her to a hospital for observation. They don't take the baby to any doctor for observation. The doctor doesn't even examine the baby when he gets there. It's like they don't even. There's just no touching of this woman whatsoever.
Yeah.
They don't even bother to take her into town to find her friends or relatives or anything. So they just let her sleep over. The next morning, they wake up and guess what? This woman is gone, and she leaves her baby behind,
Wrapped in the thing.
wrapped in the shawl.
The
Now this
shawl.
mysterious shawl is one of those ugly ass crocheted 70s things that
Yeah.
grandma used to have, and it's just she's always got it on her from the second we see her. So I knew this thing was going to be something, but whatever.
Yeah, well, whatever. And then the wife instinctively just says, I'm going to breastfeed this baby.
Yeah, because she wakes up and she finds that the mother is gone, and so the baby is probably hungry. So, I mean, the baby's a newborn.
Just
and,
take some woman's baby and breastfeed it.
I mean, at that point, she had just given birth not too long ago to her own child, so she does still have milk, and she's probably still breastfeeding her own child. So she just decides to breastfeed this kid. And I guess that becomes a bonding moment because they never bring this child to any social services.
No, they do. We cut to a picnic where the doctor is there again, and he's like, it's been 3 months and no one's seen her or heard from her. She just left.
I can't believe that nobody saw the girl leave, even though it was early.
Old Tapper saw her.
Old Tapper sees everything, whether he sees it or not. But nobody to remember her taking a taxi or thumbing a lift. Doesn't make sense just to disappear like that.
Well, I'm convinced we'll never see her again.
Yeah, but why
That's
do they
it.
still have this child? At this point, it should be in the custody of welfare, social services, or something. Why do they still have this child?
Well, and then cut to, again, we jump and cut to them coming out of and adopting the baby.
Yes, and of course they have to do that whole, oh, you're a godsend to the baby,
Yep.
Oh, she's a godsend. She's a darling.
just to let us the audience know that this kid's obviously going to be a demon.
Well, and then cut to again. This is where the movie gets hilarious. They put two babies in the same
In the same crib.
crib.
To sleep.
And then the husband is working. Okay. The characters here are so sketchy, you can't really figure them out. You have to slowly listen to the movie going, who are these characters? What do they do? So the husband is some kind of, this is nuts. He's some kind of creator of clothing or something like that with advertising.
I thought he was an architect.
Well,
I don't know.
How's it going? Alan's an illustrator.
I prefer working in the winter to the summer. Nothing else to do then.
he
I
dresses
don't know.
crazy. And so if he is a clothing or some kind of fashion person, that's wild. I can't tell if he's in advertising, but he is always working. He's always sketching. And he seems to be sketching clothing a lot, so I couldn't really understand. Well, he's sitting there and he's sketching in his little room. The wife comes in and she says to him, honey, I think the baby's dead.
It's Matthew. Oh, God.
Yeah, so honestly, we're like in the first 2 seconds. I mean, there's no way to know which baby it was, but obviously we can just assume that it's their baby.
No scream.
No scream.
Just walks in. She goes, I don't remember the kid's name. It's him. I think he's dead.
He's dead.
He
It
goes,
was the
"What?"
most
He jumps up.
nonchalant thing I have ever seen in my life.
Runs into the next room and finds the one baby that they just adopted sitting over the baby,
Smiling.
smiling, and the other baby is just dead. And they pick it up. It's a doll. It's very funny because earlier in the movie, the baby has hair,
Yeah.
and you pointed that out. And now I think the reason was they wanted to get the one matching the doll.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because in the beginning of the movie, the kid's bald. I mean,
Yeah.
just bald as hell.
Newborn.
And so like cut to this like a couple months later, there's a full head of like Chucky hair
yeah,
on this
black
kid.
hair, as I recall. But so yeah, we cut to them basically hugging the adopted child, saying you're a godsend, and we have to move on. The baby's dead. We have to move on.
Surely it must make you feel happier?
It does. It does.
And you mustn't be sad.
Don't, Mummy. Bunny's ours now. You're her own mother. No one can take her away anymore.
I know. I am happy. It's just difficult.
I know. But we're all going to be happy again. Everything's fine.
And
It's just it's a crib accident.
I mean, literally though, this woman doesn't shed a tear. It's just so weird. Like she just becomes like, just I don't know, monotone, reclusive. I guess I
Yeah.
don't know, but she does not shed a tear. Now,
No.
if you find your baby
Yeah.
has died,
She seems to be taking it pretty well.
Oh,
He does
it's
too
fine.
because he's like, all right, we got to move on.
yeah, okay, that happened. Let's move on. What are we having for dinner next week?
Yeah. And so the movie also moves on very quick. We're back at a new picnic. It's been a long time. The kid that they adopted is now a little older. I wouldn't say that old, but a little
No,
older.
I think they say that she's now 4.
Wow. So it's been 4 years.
Yeah.
They're at another picnic. They do this a lot in this movie. And they're all hanging out, and they're hanging around what seems to be some kind of rock structure. Like it's a natural rock occurrence, but it looks like it has walkways through it. It's a weird place that they're at. It just imagine Stonehenge. And they're all having a picnic, and all of a sudden they go, hey, where's our daughter? And then we hear, help me, help me.
Help me! Please! Mummy! Mummy!
Lucy,
Help
don't
me!
move. Stay exactly where you are.
Mummy!
Lucy, Daddy will get you down.
Right? So their the oldest daughter they have, has somehow climbed up on top of Stonehenge and is screaming for help.
Yep.
So the parents run off to find her and help. They leave their new 4-year-old and their 2 sons alone in the middle of a field. The new adopted, the Godsend,
Oh, she's a godsend. She's a darling.
decides to just kick one son in the ass, and he goes flying onto the floor. It's
Yeah.
really funny. And they keep showing her face like,
Yeah. Can I just say also, let's just say that from the beginning of this movie, this kid, who's a little girl, had the whitest, like, Village of the Damned hair. She looked like, I mean, I hate to say this, but she looked like a freaking monster. She was creepy as hell. And there was a point in the movie when she was like, I guess 3 or 4, when she was super cute. Her face was super cute. But then she just progressively got uglier.
yeah.
It was creepy. It was just this kid.
Well,
Anyway.
so she kicks that one son in the butt, and that kid falls and it's like right on his face, and he's got a little scratch on his face, and he's like, oh. And they keep showing shots of all the children staring at each other. Mm-hmm. So the one kid that got kicked in the butt just decides to run off. He don't want to be with them. The other son, on the other hand, is staring at her. Cut back to them saving this girl on top of a rock structure. We have no idea how she even got up there.
Yeah. Like, if you can get up there, get yourself down. Come on. So the parents are like running over there. Oh, let me save you, let me save you. And they just leave the other 2 boys. They don't think anything of the fact that, there's anything wrong with this kid at this point, because why? You know, the first baby died. It could have just been, a sudden death syndrome, or what do we call it? SIDS. That happens. So they didn't really think anything of it at the time. But the kid was in the crib with their baby at the time.
Yeah.
So that was a little sketchy.
Yeah. So
But anyway,
they
so
come
now,
back with the girl,
Yeah.
and they realize, hey, where's the kids? And the one son walks up, and they're like, what happened? Where are they? I don't know. I walked away. And then they're like, how dare you leave them? Where are they? So then they hear, help me, again. So they run off in the search for the two kids, and they find near a canal in the middle of this farmland. It's like a little swamp. They find the little girl sitting on the bank crying.
Yep. Well,
They-
no, she's not crying. She's kind of just
She's like-
just sitting there staring off blankly, which she does through most of the movie.
I remember her crying a little bit in the scene, but I could be wrong. I just remember her going, "I want to go home," and she was like crying, and I want to go home.
She was whining, but
And
she
the-
wasn't like distraught.
The father instantly jumps into the canal.
Yeah.
He
like-
instantly knows to jump in the canal because he senses my son's got to be at the bottom of the
like
canal.
he just automatically jumps in the water and starts swimming around under the lake to try and find his son, who he just thinks is there, instead of just maybe running around a little more and calling out for him and seeing maybe he's hiding
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
But no, he just jumps in, and guess what he finds? The kid's body in the lake.
At the bottom of the lake.
Yeah, at the bottom of the lake.
First off, when you drown, you float up.
Right.
I don't think you sink to the bottom unless you have heavy weights on you or something.
Yeah, that wasn't happening here.
Not here. He just instantly he goes in, finds him at the bottom of the lake, and brings him up. This is like a murky lake. You're not finding anybody in it.
No.
So yeah, he brings him up. The son's dead.
Okay, that's two kids now. And this little girl is literally on the scene for both.
The son's dead, and they cut to the wife and the husband in bed. The wife's like staring, and
She's
he says,
staring blankly out into space.
"It's a tragedy, and we need to move on."
It's a tragedy, and we're gonna have to get through this.
And he tucks the 4-year-old into bed and sees that on her wrists seem to be.
Like
This is wild.
scratch
They're
marks.
supposed to be scratches. They look like full-on blood veins are popping.
It looks like burns.
Yeah,
It does.
It's wild. He says, "Oh, I wonder what that is." Well, he goes in the bedroom and he says to his wife, "Our son tried to save her from drowning. Her clothes isn't wet.
Right.
He
Her
must have
clothes aren't
saved
wet
her.
at all."
That's why she has scratches, because he was trying to save her and he drowned in the process." This husband, his thought is to come up with a scenario to justify how they have a dead son.
You all right?
Yes. Those scratches on Bonnie's wrists. Davy was obviously trying to save her.
Right. But they don't think for 2 seconds that this little girl had anything to do with it, even
Nope.
though she acts like a demon. She
No
looks
problem.
like a demon. She literally doesn't know how to even speak at all. She's just a strange cat.
Yeah.
And their son is dead, and they literally have no emotion
The
over it.
wife goes, "You know what? He died a savior. That
Yeah.
little godsend that we have."
Oh, she's a godsend. She's a darling.
Yeah. Oh
And they're
my
like,
God.
"Okay, move on." So they do.
I was in shock the whole time, because I just couldn't believe that these people were playing parents. Like, they didn't even shed a tear when their infant died. And now, just a couple years later, their youngest son just died. And now they're down to 2 children. And
Yeah.
I'm like, do you not see anything wrong with this situation? Are you not? I mean, any mother in in this situation would have lost all her shit. This woman is blank, like deadpan, like just doesn't even feel a thing. She doesn't shed a tear.
Yeah.
It's so bizarre.
It's wild.
So I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like, what is this shit?
So, I think we find out a little more information about them. He is and I think this is one of the scenes that we had to rewind, because when we tell you this is the first 20 minutes of the film already.
Yeah.
It just happens.
They lost 2 kids in 20 minutes.
They cut to a scene where the husband's at work and he's working with 2 guys. Again, we don't really know, but they say some stuff. They say something like the fall line or something like that. And he's like, "If it continues this way, I've never worked in anything like this before." We don't really know what the hell they're talking about, but we really don't need to know. What we do need to know is one of the co-workers says,
We heard about your loss. Mrs. Marlowe's photo.
Yes, she was well known. Poor Kate.
Now, this is where we could not figure out what the hell was happening. So we had to rewind it 3 times. He says something along the lines of,
I'm sorry for your loss.
sorry for your loss. I don't even think he says that.
He does
but he
say
says, He doesn't say your loss because we were like, what the hell did he just say? He says, it's a tragedy what happened to Miss Marlowe.
Yeah.
And he says, yeah, Miss Marlowe. Yeah,
Like,
it's a tragedy.
Now, Miss
Everybody
Marlowe's-
knows. Everybody knows. He was a good kid.
Yeah, but Miss Marlowe is his wife, his own wife.
We could not get closed captioning, so we could not figure out what was happening. We
I
kept
couldn't
rewinding and
understand
going.
what they were saying.
Did he just act like his son dying was someone else's kid? Because we were like, is this a kid from another marriage?
It was just so dismissive. He was so dismissive of the fact that
like,
this kid is his son. He just died.
Yeah,
He
good
didn't
kid.
even so emotionally removed from this situation. The wife and the husband both.
Yeah.
I'm like, are you even parents? Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
What is wrong with you people?
So yeah, that's as far as plot is going.
Yeah. By the way,
This is the first time we've seen other characters besides the Doctor.
this movie actually was a book. It was a novel.
Yeah, it
first.
did say that in the opening.
And then it was released in the theater, but then Shout Factory put it out on DVD.
Yeah, it disappeared. I think it disappeared and it only came back because Shout Factory put it on as DVD. I think the one we have.
Yeah.
And I think that it took how many years? Because it came out in 80.
Yeah.
And I don't think it saw the light of day again until 2000s.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. But then and then they jump forward a little
Good
bit
reason,
in
guys.
time. Yeah, good reason. They jump forward in time a little bit. So now
Again.
the village of the damned is
Well, we constantly keep seeing how the other son does not like this little girl.
no, he doesn't.
They keep fighting.
They fight a lot. The one son that's remaining. So right now, and at this point in time in the movie, there is one son and one original daughter. One original son, one original daughter, and then you get this
And the Godsend.
adoptive kid. And so they've already lost 2 children at this
Yeah.
point. And so now you fast forward in time a little bit, and they're a little bit older.
They're having a fight. He comes home. Nobody watches these kids. They've lost 2 children now.
Yeah.
They're constantly playing in the backyard. One son has a treehouse type fort he climbs up into. It seems dangerous. No ladder. And the little girl's just allowed to run amok. So the husband hears them fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes and finds out. He finds the son's smashed toy. And he's like, why did you do this? And he's like, I didn't. She did it. And he's like, why are you such a little liar?
Yeah, he
Right?
never believes his own kid.
And he's like, she hurt me.
Yeah.
And he's like, come on, she's just a little girl. How's she going to hurt you? And he's like, I'm telling you. And he starts spanking him.
Yeah.
Go to your room until you want to tell the
Like,
truth.
what did he do wrong? I don't understand this.
Right.
And he gets a spanking.
Yeah.
And then you see the little demon. You look over at her, and she's hiding a huge, like,
Well, he keeps going, what are you hiding behind your back?
yeah, what are you hiding behind your back?
His son just was called a liar. And he's saying, Dad, she's hurting me and she destroyed my stuff.
Yeah.
And now she's hiding something. His first instinct should be, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah,
What
let
are
me
you hiding?
see what you got behind your
But
back.
he goes, you're not going to show me? And she goes, no.
Yeah.
And he goes, okay,
Okay.
I love you. And he hugs her.
Yeah, like, I'm like, first
She-
of all, okay, you've just spanked your own son for no reason, sent him off to bed, and then this little demon is hiding something behind her back. You don't even, like, investigate further or make her show you. But what it is a freaking huge lock of his
Of
son's
this
hair.
redheaded kid's hair.
She pulls out this kid's hair, and it's a huge piece of hair, like
Yeah.
not just a strand, but a huge, like, and so
It's like a lock.
it's like a lock of hair, and so the guy, the freaking father, who's a complete and utter dill hole, he doesn't even question this at all. He's just like, okay, let's go see mommy.
Yeah.
And
How could you? She's just a baby.
She hurt me, Bonnie hurt me.
Rubbish. Don't lie. How could she hurt you? She's half your size.
She hurt me. She pulled my
I don't want to
hair.
hear any more about it. Look at this. Why did you do it?
Bonnie did it.
Bonnie? Sam, you're lying. Now go to your room and stay there until you decide to tell the truth. Go on. There, Bonnie. Never mind. You're a brave girl. What's that you've got behind your back? Aren't you going to tell me? All right. Keep your little secret. Come on. It's time to eat.
And he goes into the kid's bed at night to tuck him in, I guess.
Yeah.
And he sees, which is also really comical, that this kid has a huge carrot top head. So a hair, it's like so much hair.
A lot of hair.
And he finds there's a chunk missing.
There's
He
a
actually
chunk
sees
of
it.
hair missing in this kid. And so there's like blood patch on his head from when he got it ripped out.
It hurts.
But the best part about this is when this was happening and he got his hair ripped out,
He didn't see it
he
then.
didn't say anything to his father. Like, look at my head, I'm bleeding, you
Yeah,
asshole.
because he was too busy getting spanked.
And he was getting spanked. And then I'm like, I can't. I'm at a loss for words. And so this happened, and the guy doesn't even tell his wife that their kid had a huge, big, like bloody stain on his scalp.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? They're like the worst parents of all time.
The terrible parents. The
worst.
The wife is never even around half the time. And we find out later on, and this is crazy, I don't even know if you know this, she was an actress.
Oh, okay. So they make mention of the fact that she was
A popular soap actress of some sort?
Some sort of actress. Yes.
Well, that's funny because she's terrible.
Oh my God, is she terrible?
She is terrible. in
She
this
is the worst.
movie. So, and the husband, he looks, and he actually reminds me of Malcolm McDowell.
Yeah, he does a little
Like a crazier demon version of Malcolm McDowell, if you can imagine that. He's very tall, too. Again, I don't remember much happening here. I remember after this next part, the movie gets dull. But this whole chunk, which, like the kid's hair, this whole chunk is like 35 minutes of insanity, right? And it's probably the best 35 minutes ever because you cannot stop yelling at the screen and questioning what the fuck is happening.
Yeah.
So we cut to again. They're hanging out again in a field.
in a field.
They're hanging out in their backyard, which is a giant open field, and they haven't moved.
Yeah.
They've had 2 kids die here. They don't care. So they're like, hey, let's play a game together. And the son's like, I don't want to play any games with her.
Yeah, the
You
son
know,
just out and
like,
out doesn't like
don't
her.
be a little shit. We're going to play hide and seek. He's like, I don't want to. We're going to play it. And we're going to have a good time. I don't give a shit, right? Everybody hide. Okay, now let's just slow this down a little bit and say 2 children died. One died because they weren't there because he ran off and fell in the water somehow.
Yeah, because their parents weren't there.
And now they're telling them, hey, go run off again and hide.
And hide.
In
yeah.
some dangerous areas, right? So I screamed, well, we know what's going to happen,
Oh, yeah.
right? I said, this kid's dying, but can we guess how he's going to die, right? And I yelled out, please be farming equipment.
Well, you knew it was me farming equipment.
I had
thought
no
that
idea that was going to be true.
That treehouse was going to come back because it was like the ricketiest treehouse I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the little girl, little demon, she kept trying to get up into the treehouse, and he wouldn't let her. It was just literally a piece of rope to get.
They
into
seemed like
this
they were
treehouse.
setting it up.
So it seemed like they were setting it up for this thing to like cave in, and he's going to fall to his death or something.
True.
But
Which would have been made sense
It
because
would
they
have
were
made
setting
sense.
this thing up, but they never go back to it.
they never go back to that.
So, okay. So the husband closes his eyes and counts. The wife, the 2 girls, and the boy all run off in different directions. We see the little girl watching the son, and she's just like, I want to kill this kid. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's all she's looking at. This is crazy because this girl is only about 5 or 6.
Yeah, she got a little pretty blue dress on with a blue ribbon in her hair. She looks like a little doll.
What would you say the son is? What age?
I'm gonna say he's at least 7 or 8.
I was going to say a little older now because...
No, I think he's about 7 or 8. Yeah.
All right. So they all run off, and if you were to count, because the camera doesn't cut, there's no cutting past. This is happening in real time. If you were to count how many minutes go by to have this crime go down, it's insane.
It is insane.
So he finds, and this is really funny,
Well, he's only counting to 20, mind you, right?
20.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna get you. And he finds the wife, right? She's not really hiding good. And he finds her, and he tries to have sex with her.
In the bushes.
In the bushes. Now, let's just talk about that because
Well, he's supposed to
They're
be finding his kids.
they lost a child like this
Oh,
once
my
before.
God.
And he's like, this is romantic. And she's like, oh, don't do it now. And then they hear the older daughter giggling. And they're like, I'll come and get you. So they go and they get her.
Yeah. They
Right?
stop what they're doing, thank God. And
then
they go
he's
and
like,
get her.
Go and I got you. And then he's like, I'm gonna go get the other one. So he starts crawling around. He's being all fun, and the Godsend
Oh, she's a godsend.
is hiding behind what looks like raised grass. Just imagine the hobbits hiding behind the tree.
Yeah.
And he's like crawling up on it, and she's giggling.
Yep.
Right? And he finds her. And then he goes, hey, wait a minute, where's the sun? Right? So then he's like, uh-oh. So then they all panic. Where is the sun? So they're all freaking out, and the daughter's like, hey, I just want to
Remember,
go home.
last time they panicked, they ran around looking for their other son, who ended up drowning in the lake.
Yeah.
And now this is happening again, and their older daughter, their actual daughter, is like, oh, I want to go home.
Yeah. Okay, we're done.
Yeah,
And
can
they're
we
like,
just
we gotta
leave
find
him?
our son.
Yeah.
So the husband starts running around crazy. He looks in the treehouse. He looks behind every. And this is we couldn't stop laughing about this because the oldest daughter also tries to look for him, but she looks behind a sawhorse,
Yeah.
which is just a board. You
It's
can
just
see
a
through
board,
it,
you can see
and
right
she
through it.
looks through it.
Yeah, and then she looks.
She looks in the doghouse?
Inside this
Oh, it's a hen
maybe
house.
it was like maybe a 3-foot long feeding trough
Yeah,
that she thinks her brother is in.
we're like, what the?
I'm like, this stupid kid. I'm like, what is this? Why are you wasting time with this? Just show us what's going on with
So
the kid.
The husband now.
This movie.
Talking
yeah.
about the timeline, the husband cannot find him, but then suddenly remembers through the bushes there is
Like a barn
a barn, an open rickety old barn.
with sharp tools,
It's wide open. And
hay, whole
he-
bunch of stuff.
It took him how many minutes to just think about coming here?
Yeah.
Now, when you think about how long it's been and how the girl got back and how the girl hid and all of that, this is
The timeline
batshit
just
crazy.
does not work.
I think that Godsend can teleport.
Oh, she's a godsend.
Well,
Yeah.
and we might be right, because later on it gets even funnier with this. He walks around the barn in the dark. There's some light coming through, but it's really hard to see. And he's walking all around, and he goes up on a hay, and he goes all the way up to the top of these hay barrels, and he's looking around, and he looks back down, basically where he just came from, and then he sees his son sprawled out with a bloody arm. It looks like
It looks like he has blood in his arm. I think it was just a shadow, but there's literally no
In the
indication of how he was killed.
Well, in the frame, there is a pitchfork sitting upward. And
Right.
it seemed to me that he was bloody on one half of his body. But like you said, it was in the shade. But I remember seeing red. So I assumed, oh, he fell off the bales of hay and got impaled. But how did he come off of it?
Right.
So the husband runs down there. I don't know how he didn't see him when he went in there because he's in the light.
Yeah.
And then he grabs him up. Cut to the wife and the husband again in bed, and him saying,
You've got to snap out of it, Kate. You've just got to. What can I say?
you have to get over it.
Yeah. I mean,
The wife is... She's like a little comatose, like, in a way. She's just staring off.
This is the most emotion she's had in the movie. She's just comatose, but she's just staring off as if she's gone completely out of her mind.
Yeah.
But like she's laying there again in bed
Yeah.
with him, and he's like, "You got to move on from this.
Yeah,
This
we gotta
is
move
the
on."
third kid that they lost."
Yeah. You have to move on. Enough's enough. How long is this going to go on?
It's like the worst father.
For us, it's only been a couple minutes, and we were actually saying, wait a minute, is he dead? Is he in the hospital? And we guess, well, I guess he's dead because he's saying you got to move on from
No,
this.
he was dead. First of all, let me just say that they don't have a single funeral. We don't see
We
a
don't see
funeral
anything.
For any one of these
No,
kids.
nothing.
There's no
It just jumps
family.
past it.
There's no friends. Like nobody even comes to see
Yeah,
them.
we don't see friends. There's nobody else in this movie. And so he's like, just move on. And he's like frustrated. So he goes in to see the daughter he puts her, like, he's tucking everybody
Well,
in.
can we just go
And-
back a smidge and say he was trying to have sex with her because he was kissing her face and she was just like,
Did he? I don't think it
Yes,
was sex. I think
that-
he was trying to comfort her in a weird way.
I mean, but she wasn't
She wasn't
moving.
having it.
And so he's like, you're gonna have to snap out of this.
yeah,
It's
sooner or
been
later
like
you got to
a
move
minute.
on. Yeah.
They skip over the funeral.
It's been a day. We know this has been
Yeah,
at least a
it's been
day
a day.
because he
I
so
can't.
they wake up, we see them at breakfast. This is fucking great because I think it's only been a day because the wife is sitting at the breakfast table and the breakfast table is really small. I don't know how it was ever holding these many kids as it was, but the two girls are having cereal. The one older daughter says,
You mustn't think about it, Mummy. Mrs. Webb at school says we'll meet them one day.
so Mom, move on.
Yeah. Like, and just mind you, okay, this little girl literally, she never discusses that her brothers, all three of them, are now dead. She doesn't.
She never
have
seems to care, the
any
daughter.
kind of like PTSD,
Nothing.
or any kind of trauma. She's fine.
Yep.
She's creative. She can draw. She's she's
If
fine.
she's taking after her father, we find that later on.
Yeah, but she's fine. I mean, I'm
Doesn't
sorry.
matter.
If I lost 3 brothers when I was that young, I would probably be a little more screwed up.
Yeah.
She's fine.
And also, what's crazy about that, even more so, is that we know the Godsend is knocking these kids off. Why hasn't she messed with the daughter?
Right.
And the daughter and her, they don't ever even talk in this
There's
for
zero,
the half this
no,
movie.
Zero interaction.
No
with the two of them.
interaction. The daughter doesn't notice or say, she's really crazy to us. Nothing.
Yeah, nothing. There's nothing going
So-
on with the daughter.
So
These killings just happen. They just happen.
They
There's like
happen.
no real interaction with any of these kids except for the one redhead kid that got his hair ripped out.
Yeah.
There was one incident that happened.
Yeah.
That you see that the two of them don't get along. But otherwise, they're just dying off like they're just dropping like flies, these kids.
And this is one of the bits that I thought was really funny. We just find out that they're getting mail from people saying, "We know you killed your kids."
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, first of all, that's actually the only like realistic thing
Yes.
that's happening in this movie because these parents are showing no emotion. There's no
Yeah.
funerals. There's no other people involved
It's
in
nuts.
and their kids are dropping like flies. I mean, yeah, anybody that's outside looking into the situation would be like, no, they're murderers. They're killing their
Yeah,
kids.
who wouldn't?
Like, I mean, honestly, like it's something's happening in that house.
She was a famous person. He works in some kind of. He's rich too. They're important enough where this would be all over the news.
Right.
3 children are dead.
3 children and
in a
this is
span of 5 years.
4 years because she kills the older brother when she's 4, and they even make mention. They're like, oh, you shouldn't fight with her. She's so little,
Yeah,
And he
yeah.
was like, so yeah. I mean, it's like,
I guess you're right,
She
yeah.
kills a baby when she's literally an infant, and then so the other 2 brothers after that. But then, like, she never, like you said, never ever fucks, with the sister or tries to like fight with her or anything. There's no interaction with the sister whatsoever.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, this father is just having this revelation.
Oh, and that doesn't come yet.
It happens out of the blue, though.
Well, there's a reason that it happens, which is even funnier. But this is now so much has happened that we're moving on to the boring part now.
Yeah.
So we just start finding out that the husband and wife just cannot, they're not happy. Shit's going bad for them. A reporter comes to the house and harasses her and literally won't leave. The acting on this actress gets more and more insane as the movie goes on.
Oh, it's terrible.
She's just like doing that whole thing where she's shaking her head and throwing her hands up going, he won't leave. He won't leave. You know?
It's just to the 11th degree.
It's terrible. And we just see that they're unhappy. They're starting to become unhappy, and which rightfully so. And he's diving into work, and she's going crazy. And we get the scene where the oldest daughter is drawing with the father, and the Godsend is just coloring. And the mother comes in an apron. And she just says, come in here and help me, to the oldest daughter. Get out of here. Go over here. Honey, she's drawing with me. And then she goes, I need help. And then she rips the Godsend hand into the other room. Now, I don't know what the hell the scene is. I don't know what she's doing. She's cooking, maybe?
I don't know what the point of this was, but like she apparently wanted the oldest daughter to stop what she was doing and come in the kitchen and help her. And when the oldest daughter did not do that because the husband told her to stay put, the wife violently grabs the demon kid and drags her into the kitchen with her.
And it seems like the demon kid does not want to go, which is really weird for what happens next. So now we just start
bizarre,
seeing
that scene.
Yeah. So then we just start seeing that the Godsend is obsessed with the mother.
Yeah, becomes obsessed.
And also, she's like sleeping with the shawl. Oh, and you know what? I did skip over. You're absolutely right. She's sleeping with the shawl, and he goes and tuck her in, and he starts having flashes, and he's like, something's up, you know?
Yeah.
So he sees the shawl, and he's like, I want to take the shawl away from her. And I don't know what he does with it. It just ends up back. It doesn't matter. I don't know why it's even important. But he sees the shawl and he's like, I remember that weird girl that she gave birth to her that disappeared. I forgot about how this woman disappeared.
Yeah, they never found her.
And then he's like, he sees the cuts on her wrist. She has a flash of her and the baby together and the pin. And then he goes, let me go and investigate the barn where my son died. And then he finds
her blue hair ribbon.
Right where he was dead.
Mm-hmm. That wasn't there before, mind you.
And remember this. No cops investigated this third death in this family.
Yeah. This is
Didn't find
seriously, nobody asks any questions. I mean, they get threatening letters they only say that they got one, but apparently they made it seem like they've gotten more. But they only show us that they've gotten one threatening letter from the townsfolk saying, we know that you killed your kid.
We know what you're up to.
And we know what you're up to, and that goes absolutely
it's
nowhere.
Pasted letters.
Yeah, it's pasted letters like a ransom note or something.
Ransom note.
And so then but there's a reporter on her premises, and she freaks out that he's there. But then there's no cops. There's nobody investigating this family. Now, if 3 of your children died under mysterious circumstances, which they were mysterious circumstances, in a 3-year time span, you would be under investigation.
And your kids would probably be taken away.
And your other kids would be taken away from you.
Yeah.
There would be something going on in that house, and people would be all over it.
Who knows about 70s British law? We have no idea.
I don't know, but either way, how freaking weird is that? And also, nobody is coming by asking any questions. Like, do they not have family members? Do they not have any friends?
It's not, yeah.
What the fuck? The only person we see besides the
and we know
creepy
they do, because
girl,
later on.
the creepy pregnant girl, it's the doctor. I mean, we don't see anybody.
Yeah.
Even asking any questions about these kids and their death. I mean, no funerals, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is this movie? What is going on here? Like, this is just crazy.
The husband tells the wife, maybe you should go back to work. You still like acting. You got to move on.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't want to hear this shit, but I think we need to get out of the country. We have to go back to the city because I can't take these locals threatening us, So they do. They go back, and he goes into his work. And she goes into work, and they're growing more increasingly separated in a way. And he keeps trying to have sex with his wife. Every time he does, the Godsend comes in the room and sneaks in between them.
Oh, she's a godsend.
Yeah, in order to cut it off. Like, we're not going to have
she
this.
stares at our father like, no, it's mine,
Yeah.
And it's so funny because the
mine.
Godsend falls asleep at one point, and he still tries to have sex with her, and the wife's into it. The baby's right there. She wakes up and she goes, Mom, stop.
Yeah, like, I mean, there's no way that this couple is going to be intimate on this kid's watch.
Yeah.
Like, she out and out just does not want this to happen. She doesn't want them to be kissing. Like, the Christmas came along and she saw them kissing and she got pissed.
Yeah, she's like, Dad, you know what? Now I don't like my father.
Yeah, so she doesn't like her father now.
So I'm glad you brought up kissing, because this is one of my maybe most insane moments in this movie, because especially when the end twist comes, he says something about it. So he's sleeping, And this is like the next day where the wife has left and she's going to go make food in the kitchen, I guess, for breakfast. The Godsend comes into the room while the husband is sleeping and kisses him.
Yeah, starts kissing
And we're
his
like, wait a
face.
minute, maybe he's obsessed. She's obsessed with him, and that's actually what it's really going on.
Maybe she wants his attention instead of the mother.
Because the mother that gave birth to this creature also is staring at the husband oddly.
Yeah.
So she kisses him, and there's like a weird haze, and then we find out that he's been in bed sick for like a week.
Yeah, so he's having like fever dreams or something.
Yeah.
And he's having like weird visions of this happening. And among other things in his dream about like, his kids and stuff. They show that
Yeah,
in his dream.
They just cut to the doctor from the opening going,
Can you hear me now?
Yes, quite clearly.
You may have a little deafness in one ear. Quite common. It should improve. Still got a lot of pain down below.
Oh, no doubt that'll improve as well.
No doubt.
Thank you, Doctor. When will you be back?
Oh, that won't be necessary. He's on the mend now.
oh, I'm glad you're waking up. How you doing?
Yeah,
You've been
it's
sick for
so
a really
weird.
long time. We don't really understand anything
I
that's
didn't
happening here.
understand what was happening because I was like, okay, did she kiss him and that was more like the kiss of death and got him sick?
Well, we'll talk about it later.
Because I'm trying to figure out what was going on there. Like, does she have that power to make him sick?
I don't think so. Well, we already established that she might teleport. Now we're establishing that she's like poison ivy and she can kiss you and do stuff to you. Who knows? So he is like, I don't trust the girl. And
The father.
he starts like getting sick of it. I think they go to counseling and he's like telling everybody, I think
We have to give
our
her...
Godsend killed our kids.
Yeah, he says it, and then he says to the wife, we have to get rid of her. We have to get rid of her. He actually says
we
those
have to get rid
words.
of her.
We have to get rid of her.
Well, he takes the other daughter out of school and splits up from the wife, and he goes on a lamb with the daughter, and he's like, I'm gonna protect her at all costs.
Yeah, he hides her in some kind of villa in the country, or like the city. I don't know where he is.
I think it was back at their place. I don't know if they...
Yeah.
No, they went to another place
No,
because they
it
couldn't
was
find them.
Yeah, it was a city somewhere,
Yeah.
and he hid her in a hotel and didn't tell anyone where he took her because he was afraid for her life. Obviously, this is like the only good parent moment in this entire movie because these parents are fucking awful. But this guy actually does the right thing and takes his one surviving child and hides her because he's afraid that the freaking demon is going to come and kill her.
Yeah. And
So-
and the daughter's like, yeah, I don't like her. She's creepy. She creeps me out. I don't like being around her. And he's telling the wife, like, we have to save our daughter from the other kid.
Yep.
And I have proof. There was the ribbon, the scratches on the hand, the crib death. She was there for all of it. Something's odd is going on here. I think that it's this kid, right?
Yep.
And so
The wife does not take kindly to this
she's
news.
like, fuck you. I'm
Freaks
done.
out. She says, I want a fucking divorce. You're not taking my baby away from me.
Yeah,
this is my baby. This is
godsend."
my godsend.
Oh, she's a godsend.
And the husband's like, well, what about our other daughter, you fucking lunatic
Yeah.
bitch? Like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
And she's just like, no, we belong together. You're not taking her away.
Yeah.
So she freaks out and
She leaves. She's living with, I want to say it was her father?
I don't know who she's living with.
There's a guy, an older man, and he's kind of like watching, and the husband starts coming up with a plan. I got to get rid of the Godsend. I have to kill this kid. Right? So he plans a whole thing where he goes to, and she's left, I think, with a nanny while the wife is working. It's very confusing. This
Yeah.
scene is even filmed like a dream.
It is filmed like
So
a dream. I
he
didn't know.
picks
what was
up
really
the daughter
happening.
and he's like, I'm going to bring you to the other daughter. And the Godsend is like, fuck yeah, I'm going to kill this kid when I get there. You know?
Yeah, you can
So
tell.
he drives her out into the middle. He's like, we're going to go in this way to the beach. And so he climbs and has her follow him out into rocks.
Yeah.
And he sneaks around and leaves
And he
the daughter
climbs-
up on the rocks.
He
where
climbs back up to the cliff where the car is and dips. He leaves her.
But he keeps pausing to say, I know what you did.
I know what you did.
And she's like, did what?
Yeah,
And
she's
tide is coming in. So she's standing on this rock and tide is coming in.
So he thinks that she's just going to be swept out to sea and drown.
And she keeps saying, do what? And he's like, I know you killed the kids. You're not going to get the daughter. And he keeps saying it over and over, and he climbs up to the top, and we just see that the water has risen and she's gone. And he drives home. And now, I think this is a dream, but I think it really happened.
I feel like it really happened. He tried to get rid of her.
And so we find out, like, he goes home and he's like, everything's great. And then he gets a call one day, and it's the wife or whatever. And then she actually has a meeting, like she has established a meeting, and I guess they found him and they took him, like the daughter or whatever is at their hotel or whatever he's staying at, and they have a meeting, and he's acting innocent because he thinks the Godsend's dead, and they're going to tell me she's dead.
Yep.
And then they're like, I know what you did. I want a divorce. I'm going to get the child.
Yeah,
right?
she
get our
wants a
daughter
divorce.
back.
She's like, I know you tried to leave her. I know you tried to abandon her, and now I'm gonna get full custody. Give me my biological daughter back.
Yeah, and he's like, he tells everybody, he's like, she's a demon. I know she's Satan's child or whatever. And he's like, this, and he's like, she's like, yeah, and he goes, she doesn't want me to be there. She wants you all to herself. Oh, I forgot. She had a miscarriage.
Yes. So when she was alone with the demon, and the kid was with her father in that hotel, and he took her away, the mother was alone with the demon for a period of time. Now, during this period of time, I guess the wife was pregnant.
Yeah.
And they didn't tell us.
The husband's always trying to have sex with her.
Yeah, they didn't tell us, which was funny too, because they never had sex. So how'd they? Okay.
Well, they were trying.
Need to have sex to get pregnant, but whatever. So then she she's alone with this demon kid in the house, and she suddenly falls down the fucking stairs. Oh, what happened? No, she tripped over a toy.
Yeah,
and she fell down the stairs and lost the baby.
This is like hardly established reference in the movie. They just threw in there with their oldest daughter's like, I love the doll you got me, but she doesn't like the doll you gave her. She won't play with it. She won't use it. And then what did she trip over? Is this doll?
That she never plays with.
She never plays with that doll. And then suddenly she left it on the stairs. She did it on purpose because she wants you to herself.
Yeah, that was just another little plot scheme to for the husband to be like, oh, she doesn't play with that doll. Why was she playing with that doll? Why was it at the top of the stairs?
Yeah.
She did it on purpose.
Yeah.
She wants you all to herself.
And
you are not going to have another baby.
And you know why you're never going to have another baby with me? Because now I'm sterile.
Yeah.
And she goes, what? And she goes, yeah. You remember when I got sick?
Yep.
They did tests. I'm sterile. You're never going to have a child with me. She made me sterile. I was like, what the fuck? How?
Like that happened. I like when she kissed him, I feel like she put some kind of plague on him.
What the fuck?
The demon. Like, I don't know if that scene was a dream or if it was real, but it makes me think that it was real.
It was real because he woke up from being sick, and they're like, you've been sick. You've had an insane fever. You're hallucinating.
Yeah.
It's been a while. Somehow what did she do? Lick a toilet and then kiss him?
I don't know. It was the strangest thing. They don't even explain anything. This movie explains nothing.
Yeah.
And so
we just get this in this passing, and I just keep thinking of funnier things we forgot to mention. That when they were doing the hide and seek, I have to throw this in there because this made me laugh so hard. They're playing the hide and go seek, and he found her and he wanted to have sex with her in the bushes.
Yep.
She says, I've never been so happy in all my life. 2 children are dead.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 of her children are dead.
At that point were dead, and she goes, I'm so happy.
Yeah, she's so happy. Like, this woman does not shed a tear. The only time she gets any kind of, there's any emotion coming off of her is
when she got the letter and
the news guy. And the news guy showed up. That's it. Otherwise, this woman does not shed a tear for any one of her kids that died. It's insane.
When they're being confronted and the wife is confronting him, I want a divorce, I'm going to take our kids and everything, and he's ranting about all the crazy things that Godsend has done. She's like, no, stop it, no. It's just the most overacting you've ever imagined.
It's like you just put more emotion in that 2 seconds of a scene than you have in this whole movie.
So when he rants out all the information of how he thinks that the daughter is the killer, the Godsend is the killer, the guy that they're telling this to goes, I have to take a moment and think this over.
I'm going to walk a bit. I've got to rethink this.
This is a lot to process. Give me a moment to think. And he goes, wait a minute. Where's the Godsend now? And she says, oh, she's in the hotel with our other daughter. And he goes, you left them alone? And
No, she was at home with the other daughter, and then the husband's like, okay, what do you mean with my daughter? My daughter's at a cottage in the city, being looked after by the nanny, and the wife's like, no, I went back and I got her. I got her, and so I remember
so they're in the city now.
Yeah, the nanny called the wife and said, hey, I have to tell you your kid is safe and she's with me.
Okay.
And so the freaking wife went over there, and they were in the city.
Yeah.
And that she left the freaking kids alone in the house. And I'm like,
she goes, oh, I left them there. And now this is, again, the wife being the worst mother. She left 2 young girls alone in their apartment.
yeah.
And he's freaking out.
Like, literally the worst mother.
And he goes, you're the worst, unbelievable. And he calls her up, and he rings the phone. And she picks up the phone, the oldest daughter, and says, Dad, I don't want to be here. The Godsend's looking at me creepy, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's really odd and scaring me. Can you come and get me, please? And he's like, I'll be there in a minute. He's like, leave the house now. Leave her, run out of the house. And she goes, I can't. The door's locked.
Yeah.
And he goes, did
Like,
you lock her in the house? And she's like, no. Wait, so let me get this straight.
Yeah.
You left 2 girls alone in an apartment in the city and didn't lock the door?
Yeah, but the door locks from the inside. So
Apparently it's not. Apparently it uses a key only and it locks
I had no clue what the hell was going on right now.
She's like, I can't. The lock is locked and it's the top lock I can't get to. And she's staring at me creepy. Please come back. And all of a sudden, click. Oh my God, she's not answering. What did you do, you stupid bitch? Oh my God, our daughter is
freaking out.
And he's like, runs to get. They get in the car, and she's like, "You have to stop. You have to stop this." And they get in the car together, anyways, and they drive there. And he's speeding. He pulls up in front of the apartment building, and this is when the oldest daughter, the dumbest fucking thing you've ever seen, opens the window and goes, "Hey, Daddy." Hey,
and
Daddy.
Waves at
and he's like,
waves at her father from like the 3rd floor.
Yeah, maybe farther up. But he goes, get out. Oh, don't stand in the window. Don't stand in the window. The Godsend pushes her, but she goes flying out the window
rag doll.
And she is actually a rag doll.
Yes.
And she flies out the window. So fucking
and
great.
Splats on the sidewalk.
Splats on the sidewalk in front of the parents.
Yeah, the last child, biological child of this woman, and this woman comes running over.
She goes, my baby.
She goes, my baby. And then she runs in.
No, he runs in.
Or he runs in.
He leaves them. He's like, okay, my daughter's dead.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill the Godsend. So he runs in the building, runs upstairs. The Godsend's there. He starts smacking this girl around.
Oh,
like,
he's
I'm going to kill you.
He's
tossing her around. The wife comes up there and other people come up and
they pull him off of her.
And he goes, she did it. She killed my daughter. Right? And then the wife is like, no, you have to stop. Right? And he goes, she just killed your daughter. You have to get away from her. And she goes, no, she's my daughter. She's my Godsend.
She's my Godsend. She's my daughter. Like, she's under some spell. Meanwhile,
her daughter just is splat on the fucking sidewalk.
All 4 of her biological children are dead. They've been murdered by this little demon.
It's obvious. It's so
obvious, and she doesn't think anything of it, and she's fine. And she grabs hold of the demon. I say demon, you say Godsend.
It's the Godsend.
I don't know what her name is in the movie. But,
I don't even care. It's the Godsend.
Yeah, and so she grabs hold of her and hugs her, and like she didn't just lose her 4th biological child.
We were like,
I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with this woman?
We were startled.
I couldn't
This
believe
movie was
it.
insane. We were so startled. And we were like, is it going to freeze frame and end? But no, it blurs out. and we see him talking to the doctor again.
Yep.
And
And they're in like
sitting in-
some park.
Yeah, it looks like it's like a water in the middle, and they're
It's like
a duck
lake
pond,
or
and there's benches, and they're sitting on the bench, and he's like, "Well, I tried my best to stop it. There's no going back now. She's fully involved with her. We've lost all the kids." And he's like, "Yeah." The doctor's basically like, "Yeah, that's some shit." And then he looks across the pond, and he sees the woman from the opening,
the weirdo.
the weirdo, the one that gave birth to the Godsend, with a new family.
Yep. And she's pregnant.
And then he's like, "It's gonna happen again. I have to stop it." And he runs across the canal, the water park, and he gets to the other side, and they're gone. And the camera zooms up, and he's like, "It's gonna happen again." Credits.
Yeah, and then the credits roll, and we're just like, okay.
Wow.
So there was really no
There is no conclusion. The villain got away with it. The
closure.
Godsend is killing the hell out of people.
Yeah. Basically, she just wanted the mother to herself.
And I think that the Godsend is the woman that gave birth to the Godsend.
I think so
that's like
too.
a reoccurring thing.
Reoccurring thing.
She's birthing herself like these Satanists.
Yeah. It's so bizarre. And so she just disappears with this family, and he loses her, and he just, screams up at the sky, "It's gonna happen again."
Yeah.
And that's how it ends. And we're just like, oh my God.
And to further my thought, in the opening, when she does talk to them, when she's sitting in the house before she gives birth, she says, "I have lots of children."
Yeah.
And she says, "Oh, I have many."
She
And
has
then she
many,
goes,
yes.
Well, you shouldn't be doing this. And she goes, "Well, I have never given birth before."
Right.
And we're kind of getting the idea that she also has never, that there's just some kind of immaculate conception type deal. That's how I felt. I was like,
Well, yeah, because she has many children, but she's never given birth before.
yeah, it's
So,
so crazy.
yeah.
So I kept thinking, oh, this is just this is some kind of cycle of these crazy godsends being born out into the world, and these women are them.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, she does give birth. We see it happen in The Lady Delivers
Maybe
the
this
kid.
is a Ben scenario, and it's
So-
just like never-ending process of
Yeah, I'm
birth.
like, first of all, there's so much I could say about this movie. It was just, even the score, the music that they used in the scenes, like, that were supposed to be, like, pretty traumatic, their use of music was terrible. It was almost, non-existent. And let's talk about the acting on the wife. Jesus Christ.
It gets
was
worse.
so
and worse.
fucking
If you
bad.
think it's bad, it gets worse. It's terrible.
If you never heard of this movie, and I'm sure you haven't,
You need to search it out.
search it out, because I just would love to hear what other people think about this.
Have to see
it's
this
just,
thing.
I hate to say that, someone's a bad actor or, not doing well in a movie, but Jesus Christ, this woman, I have never seen such terrible, she goes from one extreme of just like literally staring off into space and there's no emotion whatsoever, to her flailing her arms and shaking her head back and forth like a lunatic at the end of the movie when he's going to take the kid away from her.
Yeah.
And there's nothing in between that. There's nothing. She doesn't have any emotions at all. She cracks a smile when her kid dies.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre. Like, there's no appropriate acting for the corresponding scene. It's like her kid's dead. All 4 of them within a short amount of time, and she's just fine. There's nothing wrong with her. She has one moment where she's kind of comatose, and then she snaps out of it. And throughout the whole movie, people are telling her, "You're gonna have to get over this." Meanwhile, she lost all 4 of her biological kids. And she has no emotion, and he has no emotion. He doesn't even, there's not even a tear shed.
Yeah,
not
he
one
takes it
tear.
pretty good.
It's just bizarre. They're like the worst fucking parents I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So-
I think when we were saying you have to search this out, if you're a fan of bad films, this is This is like so bad it's good type of film to me.
Mm-hmm.
This is one where you get some friends and some beers, and you're gonna have a blast laughing about how crazy it is.
Yeah.
Like you're just gonna be like, your friends are, if especially if they don't know what's about to happen, they're all gonna be like, "Wait, what?" No.
I mean, they're going to be in shock just
Yeah.
of the lack of emotion and almost this lack of acting from these people.
Yeah.
I
No
mean-
script. I mean, really, there's no conclusion. There's no end.
No.
The villains get away with it. It just, nothing really happens.
Yeah.
They just keep saying, the Godsend's killing everybody. This guy's like, maybe I'll stop it. And he kind of like doesn't really stop it, but there's nothing. It's just, it's such a confusing mess. I can see
Yeah.
why this was never
You know-
seen again.
I feel like if you're going to do a movie like this based on a book, you should at least take some kind of like creative liberties and make it so the audience has something to cheer for. Because at the end, this little bitch gets away with all of this.
Yeah.
The wife is just fine losing all of her biological kids and divorces her husband. She ends up with this little demon. And I just feel like there's no conclusion. There's no closure for the viewer. And I feel like, you know, at least if we have to go through this god-awful scenario and this terrible plot and this, you know, awful acting, at least give us some kind of, you know, reward at the end. Like, you know, make her get hers, you know?
Agreed.
Something. But
Something. You need something to cheer.
there's
I mean,
nothing to
so
cheer.
many kids were killed. You want this girl to get. I was hoping he was going to drop kick her out the window, and maybe he would go to jail and look like the bad guy.
Yeah.
Something like that, a
Something,
twist. But at
but-
least he killed the Godsend.
Yeah.
But no,
No,
he looks like the
nothing.
victim. Still, don't know how he's not in jail.
Right. I mean,
They
because he
should be in
did try
jail.
to kill her.
The two parents should be in jail just for child endangerment.
Yeah, just because they tried, basically, yeah, definitely. But like, there's no investigation. So like, really though, why would they ever?
Yeah, how would the daughter fly out the window unless someone pushed them?
Exactly. There was no way possible for her to just fall out of that window because literally she was like, the windowsill was chest high on her because she was still young. She's still little. So you can't just fall out of a window like that.
And she went flying out, like
And
head
she went
first
like,
flying
I
out
mean,
of this window.
like a somersault down
Yep.
until she splattered on the freaking sidewalk. I mean, these are the worst goddamn parents. I mean, there's lack of investigation. There's lack of cops. There's lack of anything.
Do you remember him unlocking the door, or he just went in?
No, I think he just went in
That's even.
because the door was supposed to be locked.
It was supposed to be locked.
Yeah.
I have to rewatch it just to see the
No,
ending.
he
I'm going to
just went
rewatch
in.
the ending and see, did he open the door?
No, he didn't. He
Sure.
literally just went in. He didn't have any keys. He just went in. There, you think he's gonna fumble with keys? No, he was
I wonder
in a
if he
heated
did. It's
moment.
so funny because I remember him running upstairs.
Yeah.
So yeah, this. What are you going to give it score wise? Because to me, I want to give it a 3.
I'm giving it a 3. I actually already rated it a 3.
Yeah, I want to give it a 3, but I want to put this on my list of so bad it's good. I don't know if it is.
I can't do that. I'm never
It's-
gonna watch this again.
It's funny.
I'm in shock. I mean, I really, there's nothing redeeming about this movie.
I don't know. I was laughing. We were in shock and we were cracking up.
I mean, we were cracking up at ourselves because we were saying things that like because we couldn't believe what we were seeing, not because of what the
That's what-
movie
yeah.
did anything. It was just like, what? This is a movie?
I mean,
Like we just couldn't believe it. It's not so bad. It's good. It was just bad. It was bad. I mean,
I don't know.
just-
I don't know.
can't-
This one's an interesting one. I had a blast laughing about it, and I have fond memories of how silly and stupid it is. So I don't know. I'm giving it a 3 though. I'm with you. I understand. Is it worse than The Vagrant? Which one would you watch?
Oh
again?
Jesus! I would watch The Vagrant again.
I would never watch The Vagrant.
I would watch The Vagrant again over this simply because I can't stand to look at that demon kid. She's fucking awful.
I did not like a thing. The Vagrant is bad. Like
It's bad, but I mean, at least
not,
it's-
not even remotely fun.
No,
I didn't like it at all.
well-
This one, I thought this is funny.
There were a
So-
couple of fun moments in The Vagrant because we did laugh a little bit. I mean, but this movie, I mean, this, first of all, there's at least a 20 to 30 minute period of time where it was a snooze fest. Like, I was like, all right, something better happen here because I'm bored. You know, it wasn't entertaining enough. It just
Yeah.
wasn't.
That first 30 minutes, though.
Nobody gave a shit. There was nothing. There
All
was,
right,
you
all right.
know.
So, yeah. Okay. That was The Vagrant. No, it wasn't The Vagrant. What was this? What's this one called?
It was called The Godsend.
I only said it 50 times.
I
You
know.
think I would
You
remember?
said The Godsend. No less. I should have been drinking during that. I would have been really fucked up.
A shot every time I say Godsend?
Yes. Like,
This is the,
what was her name anyway?
Is this veal cutlets all over again when I just kept
Veal-
repeating veal cutlets?
Veal cutlets. Yeah. So her name in this movie. Not that it matters. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
No. Yeah. Her name is Bonnie.
Yeah,
You have to look
man.
this up on IMDb. The picture of the actress playing Bonnie, she looks like she's straight out of Village of the Damned. She's creepy as fuck. I mean, they picked a really good kid. And I know that's not her real hair either. I know they probably dyed it. Because it's just white.
Yeah,
like,
I think they
mean,
had like 3 different actresses playing
Yeah.
this girl. They had the baby version. They had a little bit of an older version and,
Yeah.
and a middle version.
And a middle version.
And all versions of this little girl are spooky.
Yeah, they're spooky.
And they film her. She doesn't know she's acting. And they
Yeah.
just have her standing there, but they just keep getting shots of people staring at each other. It's so funny. It's just so much fun. Yeah. So yeah, Godsend, 1980.
Godsend, 1980.
3 stars.
3 stars, piece of crap. Just skip it. But you have to like
Check
look
it out for
into
me.
it.
It's
Look
much fun.
into it a little bit because it's just a piece of crap.
All right, guys.
Peace
Thanks
out.
for listening to this insanity. Have a good one.
Well, there's no need to get upset. I mean, I'm sure you've got everybody.
What's going on?
I've asked him to leave 3 times.
My wife has asked you to leave 3 times.
Yeah, well, I've got a duty to my readers. I just want to ask
Just
you...
bugger off, will you? You can see she's had enough.
Well, your wife was a personality once, wasn't she? I mean,
I'll
people
give you
remember
a count
that.
of 3.
Now, look, see here, Mr. Marlowe.
This
I've just-
time you went.
You can't do that. I could get...
Go on, stop.
You haven't heard the last of this, I'll tell you.
I must leave. Please.
Don't worry, it'll be all right.
No! Don't! You won't! I want to go, please!
Katie.
Alan, please!
Come on. It'll be all right.
No! 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 Alan! Alan, please!